Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. 1.5 weeks to go before I leave my current organisation. Well, it's not my organisation, before I get made redundant. Actually, it's not redundancy, it's a compromise agreement. A couple of people quoted in previous videos and comments that it's more like a compromise agreement. It sounds more like a compromise agreement than a redundancy. And actually, having stepped back and thought about it, it is absolutely right. It's not redundancy, it's a compromise agreement to kick me and the rest of the team out of the business from the UK because we're just too expensive to employ. It's not necessarily the wage that's too expensive, it's the taxation that the current government and previous governments have layered upon layer for businesses to absorb. So that's an interesting thing. Anyway, I was talking about my pension options in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. And I was thinking about having a fixed term annuity on some £55,000 worth of bucket. But some of you recommended a drawdown option where you can draw it down in a more tax efficient way. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Let me just check that camera. It's this DJI Osmo 360 is playing up a little. So I need to double check what's happening with it. Anyway, that's another subject. I may have to return it for another instance of the camera. Anyway, and that's another subject. So, the drawdown option may be better. I didn't know about this. I had a word with a financial advisor who went through everything about my vision and the money and moving to the Philippines and the costs associated to that, and everything tallies up. He says you'll be able to have a reasonable life over in the Philippines. A very reasonable life based on the number from the pensions. Go and see the previous video. Based on the number from the pensions, I should have a great life, on the understanding that there won't be a mortgage because I'll buy a property outright, or the missus will buy a property outright and we'll take it from there with our money. So we'll be absolutely fine financially. So that's good news. So a drawdown option is a better, more tax efficient way of doing this. New jobs. Do you know what? At the age of 59, coming up 60, I was a bit concerned that I wouldn't be on the IT market. Who's going to employ me? That's not the case. I've had a couple of headhunters for incredibly large architecture design roles and heading those architecture design roles up. And they're wanting someone with lots of experience, been through the wars, made loads of mistakes, learnt from the mistakes, rather than having some 32-year-old that's made a couple of mistakes and doesn't, and is distracted. Actually, one of them asked me, we were having a good laugh, yeah, and he said to me, he says, have you got any kids? I said, yeah, we've got kids. How old is the youngest? He said, 26. I said, are they all independent? He said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, perfect. He said, no grandkids? No, I said, they're not interested in grandkids. Not yet, anyway. He said, perfect. He said, one of the concerns with a lot of organisations is the commitment of fathers or mothers to kids. I thought, that's interesting. That is interesting. And I can understand it. When I used to have staff, we used to have challenges where, do we take this person or that person or whatever? And then we used to say, what's the, What's the likelihood of having kids, or have you got kids? Of course, you can't ask them if they've got kids. But it does, it does have an impact. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Yeah, on both sides, be it the male or the female side, having children does have an impact, and it is a distraction. But it is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. So yeah, with this drawdown option, what it means is if I get another IT job or another job and I'm paying tax, I can hold back the drawdown and not draw it down and pay tax on whatever I'm drawing down. So I can hold it back, and then when my contract ceases in whatever role I'm doing, then I can, I can then draw down from that pot of 55,000 or thereabouts. Yeah, I will be taking the lump sum of some £13,500. Yes, and I believe I can do that. So they're getting in touch with the pension provider, and they're getting the conversations going so that they can transfer the money over and then start this possibility of a drawdown option. So that's good news. So we've got a couple of good news things. So that's that. I think we're in an okay position. And while we're settling down to figure out where we're going next, I might actually go over to Thailand. I think the missus would like to spend some time in Thailand, and we'll rent a couple of apartments or whatever, or an apartment, and rent there. Not sure yet. There are so many options for us, so many options. But it's certainly much cheaper living in that area of the world. And because I'll be paying tax on my pensions or whatever, and national insurance, if anything medical that's drastic happens, I can always fly back to the UK and have it addressed. Yeah, because I'm paying national insurance and tax. There you go. I've had a look at top-notch comprehensive insurance in the Philippines for both of us. Top-notch, everything covered. Instant access to healthcare, surgery, everything. It's going to be £3,500 a year. I don't think that's too bad. So that's £300 a month. So I think that's okay. And talking to the financial advisor, he said you should be able to afford that. Based on the numbers that we've talked about in the previous video. Go have a look. So there are some really good options, and it doesn't look like I'm too old for the market in IT, which quite surprised me. It did quite surprise me, that. So things are going interestingly well. So I've got another week and a half. On the last day, I'll get all my PC equipment, laptops, phones, iPads, and then swipe them, format them, factory reset them, and then wait for a courier to come and pick them up, put them in a box, send them back. End of subject. We'll see where we go with that. But yeah, so the intention is that I'm going to take at least the month of June off. Maybe June and July. I've booked a caravan in Cornwall for a week at the end of June, so that should be great. And Susie and I and Tina will enjoy that, and I'll record some stuff while I'm down in Cornwall, as long as nothing crazy happens, like another organisation wants me right here, right now, and they're offering £150,000 a year. So you never know, that can happen. For the one that commented that I couldn't string words together correctly, and no wonder I'm being kicked out of the IT domain, hopefully this video is a bit better for you. Yes, I've been working very hard for 40 years and been stringing sentences together with no problems. No major problems at all. However, because of the news that's happened, I'm feeling a little more clearer. Let's put it that way. My vision of the future is a bit more clearer and a bit more positive. Hopefully you'll accept my apologies for not being able to string two sentences together. Anyway, what is it? You okay, Susie? That's about the news thus far. It's beautiful out here, beautiful where I live. Don't really want to leave the UK, but it's just too expensive, and we're about to start up the second round of cost of living. It's going to be crazy, with the Strait of Hormuz still being blocked or compromised or whatever. It's still going to, the cost of living is going to go up and up and up and up, and a loaf of bread will go from £2 to £3 and all that good stuff. And then diesel will remain at £1.90, £2 per litre, and we'll just have to suck it up. Of course, the government could reduce the tax associated to that, but they don't want to. Keep the peasants in their place, make them poorer. That's what I say. My goodness. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. For those that have subscribed, I really do appreciate it. Share it on to anybody else that looks like they're about to be made redundant or are kicking through a compromise agreement. Have a great day. Looking forward to doing the next video when it's a week away from finishing work. See you soon. Bye bye.